So guys, ever want to make realistic rust effects? Check this out. I found this really cool technique. It's actually using real rust to do, rust effects. What a surprise there, right? But check this out. I actually got this off of Tony, the painting clinic. So you can check out his channel. He actually does one with a whole submarine or ship. I don't remember what it was, but kind of gleam that off. Now this product's by Modern Master. I used a dead flat. I didn't know they had these realistic rust effects. They're called rust activating paint or something. But here we go. We'll explain it a bit more. We'll use this base I'm making for my Imperial Fist as an example of one way to use the metal effects. They have their own line of primer, but I'm just using Vallejo black polyurethane primer here. Let it dry completely and you're ready to go. We're going to use the metal effects iron paint for this. This is your base paint that contains the metal elements. You can simply paint it on or even use an airbrush to spray it on. If you use an airbrush to do it, you will need to thin it down. I use water to do some of my test runs. Now this is an acrylic paint, at least that's what they say it is. For this example, I'm just going to use a brush to do it. Just a warning, this stuff gives me a headache. Now I don't know if it's the paint itself or if it's just me, but I've dealt with more potent stuff and it hasn't affected me at all. Either way, use a mask or have very excellent ventilation, especially when spraying this stuff. So apply the paint on the areas you wish and wait for it to dry. If you use an airbrush, it won't take too long. Once dry, give it a second coat. Once the second coat's on, let it dry for about an hour. Once an hour is passed, you should be good. We'll grab our rust activator now. This contains the acidic solution containing copper salts which activate the rust in the metal within the paint. Just generously apply the activator to the areas you want the rust to show up. Here I'm just going to slop it all over, but you can actually target certain areas of the models if you wish. Once applied, wait 5 minutes and apply the activator in the same area again. I noticed that more rust is obtained in areas where the activator actually pools. Now all you have to do is wait, as you can see here. We'll do a little time lapse. After an hour, it's already produced some major rust. For some, it might be just right. For me, it's a little too much for my taste. I'm going to go ahead and tone it down. Either way, I'll always seal it before going on to the next step. I'm going to use Liquitex matte varnish to seal it up. Now there's a couple points to remember here. We're going to be working with real rust, so it's dusty. If you brush up against it, the dust will be apparent. This is why I'm sealing it up. The second thing to remember is that it's still active after 1 hour. If you seal it now, it will give this whitish appearance. Since I'm going to be covering up with some dry brushing anyways, it won't matter. If you wish not to have that white haze, you might have to let it sit until it's done with its process. Now I'm not sure how long that takes. Usually when I leave it overnight, it seems to do the trick, but it might be just as long as a couple hours. I haven't completely tested that theory out yet. Let's finish this off. We're going to use Vallejo Model Air Gunmetal to do some dry brushing to push back the rust a bit. Now I'm going to take some miniature charred stone to do some more dry brushing to push back both the rust more and the shine of the gunmetal. Now we're going to dry brush with some highlights to bring out the piece some more using Vallejo Model Air Silver. We're just going to lightly brush the tops of the edges and the surface of the models. Finally, using miniature concrete slab, we'll do the same thing, push back the shine of the silver a little bit. Now let me take a little time to explain why I'm using regular colors to push back the metallic. It simply comes out too shiny for me, especially if these are slabs of metal that were sitting there ruined and weathered. I use regular paint to dull down the shine a bit to keep the whole weathered feel to it. Now I would mount the model to the base. As I'm still working on it when I was making this video, I'll just show you the results of some other models that I've done.
Here are a few more examples. On this orc knob, I used the same technique basically to do up all the metal pieces of his guns, armor plates, and helmet. This is part of the horns on an Ogre Kingdom Iron Blaster. At this point, the applicator was applied and the dry brushing has yet to be applied. On this Ogre Bull, the rusts have been pushed back a lot on the sword to make it more subtle. With a little dry brushing on the edge and the darker metallic on the top ridges, I really like how the subtlety have come out on this. My original practice pieces were on these ejective markers. What better to do rust than on barrels? The stains on the barrels are done using the oil-based wash before sealing it with a clear coat. Now if you want some of your own pre-made barrels to work on, I heard Secret Weapon Miniatures make their own barrels and you can get a pack of them for a really cheap price. You can also dry brush with different colors to simulate the original color of the object before it got weathered, like on this container. Modern Masters also have different types of metal effects, like using bronze or copper to create patina aging. I experimented on this cannon of the Iron Blaster here. I'm still playing around with this effect, so it's going to take a little while to actually make it look, real, like it's been weathered and, oxidized. Patina not only comes with green, but you can also use the blue activator as well. Now, one of the major drawbacks about using this technique is that it takes some time to apply, but it does some really great realistic effects. However, you might be able to do it faster with other techniques that are out there, like using weathering powder or, things like that.
And that's it, guys. I hope you enjoyed. I hope you learned something from this. Again, make sure you wear a mask, because this stuff actually made me feel sick and nauseous a little. But you're dealing with real, oxidizing material, like metal stuff in the paint. What a funny story is, I'm painting the little foot pads of my ogres, and there was a magnet underneath, and well, that magnet was sucking some of the paint onto the other side of the base. So it's actual real metal, so it's kind of trippy that way. So yeah, that's it for now. Again, I actually got this off of Tony from the Painting Clinic, so if you haven't already, check out his channel and sub, because he does some awesome stuff. So that's it. Remember, like if you like, sub if you haven't, share where you can, and favorite if you love me. I'll talk to you guys later.